Good afternoon, guys. This is Meg at Chasing Retro, and I am finally ready to show you guys the finished Heidi journals. I'm probably going to break this up into at least 2 videos, to be determined how many, just because of space on my camera and time. So I will start with what I will be putting into the shop with these journals. I had some leftover ephemera, and so I will be putting 2 ephemera packs into my shop today. As soon as I finish these videos, all of these journals, which are all reserved, will be put into my shop under the reservees initials, and these will also go in the shop as well. So included in each of these, they're almost exactly the same, are offcuts from cardstock, some Franken paper, about 30 fussy cuts and illustrations cut out of the various Heidi books that I had. I think I had 8 that I pulled from. Of antique postcard, some jacquard trims, playing card. Let's see what else is in there. Oh, some die cuts that I used my Big Shot for, and some fabric tags. So these will each go into my shop, and so these will be available when the journals are for their recipients. Each of the reserved journals will come with a pack, a little bonus ephemera pack of 5 journaling cards and or tags, and 1 little die cut element. So it might be a border, or it could be a corner decoration. These are just things that I had left over, and I tried my best, but I could not fit them in the journals. So these will one of each of these packs of 5 will go into each journal as a little bonus pack. I'm going to start with the one that is the most different than all the others, and that's only because of mainly the color scheme. I did not name these journals. I'm just going to call them by the description of what they are. So this will be the pink and blue Heidi. And this one is reserved, as I said earlier. I'm going to raise my camera up a little bit. This one, all of these are reserved, but I hope you will enjoy watching the flip through nonetheless. This one measures a little over 9 by 7. All of them have a 1.5 inch spine, and all but 2 have a 1.5 inch spine. One is a single signature and one is a VHS box cover. But all of the ones that are actual books are 1.5 inch spine with 2 signatures. All of them have a removable ribbon tassel that has corresponding colors to match the cover images and or the spine fabric. And they all have beads in the signature strings, and they all have some sort of attached closure. I decided to do attached closures instead of something wrapping around because I didn't want to cover the images of Heidi. This one is tied with a rose red, which is basically like a dark rose pink crinkled seam binding, and I left the pieces long so that the new owner could tie it in a double bow. And this is actually a hardback book that was a children's songbook, or maybe it was a storybook, but it's this beautiful ocean drizzly blue color. And then this was a separate book, that like a paperback that I removed the cover from, and then this is just a frame of embroidered flowers around her cute little face. This journal, as all of the journals do except for the single signature, has 16 pages in each signature, so that's 32 leaflets, or I'll just let you guys do the math. 32 leaflets, that's 64 back and fronts, times 2. So whatever that is, a little over 100 spaces for writing. In the front here we have some triangle pockets, and then 2 journaling cards. This actually is the same end paper as this. And it's just one of the images from one of the Heidi books. This one is actually from one of the dust jackets from the book. And this is a piece of a shirt that I cut apart, and then I just did a little cluster with a little paper flower. And this is another illustration from one of the books used. I think I'm going to stand up so I can see better. I don't want to go off screen, and if I sit down, I'll never know. I'm in a different location today. You will probably hear some traffic noise. I'm in my husband's shop. Not shop, office. It's like an office that used to be a shop, and it's off the garage, so the window is not quite as soundproof as inside the house. So hopefully it won't be too distracting. But it was a way for me to get away and have some quiet for filming today. Here is a pocket with some paper flowers that I sort of glued onto the wreath around the goat's neck. All of the journals, I tried to put some sort of 3D element decorating the first pocket on the first page. So you'll see that through all of them. This is the tag that I received in Happy Mails. There are a few Happy Mail pieces in here. Some of them I'd had just in my stash for a long while, just waiting for the right journal to go in. This is a piece cut from a pillowcase that was embroidered, and I just applique stitched it to a tag. And this is a map of Switzerland, and I fussy cut the grandfather and Heidi and put it on there. We have a side pocket here, and we have a playing card. And another illustration of Aunt Dee Dee taking her into the Dorfly village. I think I'm saying that right. And then some Carol Wilson embossed stationery. It's a fussy cut flower. I thought it looked like something that would grow on a mountain. And then we have a fabric cluster. This bottom layer, this light green, is actually from a handkerchief. Some really pretty jacquard trim with delicate pink and yellow. Here is Heidi, and then there's a quote. I did put some quotes in these when she came back to grandfather, and he wasn't believing that she was home, which is really sweet. My camera's not wanting to focus today. It might be the dim lighting in here, so I'll keep trying to focus it as I go. Here's a paper ruffle. This is from another one of the storybooks. I think this was one of the books with the record. And then I put a little jacquard tab there. This is some coffee dyed paper and a fussy cut of a bird. Birds are mentioned a lot in this story, so you'll see them represented. This is a silk flower that I put a brad in the center of and glued down. And this is a die cut of some flowers. And this is a printable, and this is a little piece of vintage gift wrap that had that Heidi style of decor. This is printable wallpaper from, I think this is Tailor Made Journals. I love her stuff. And then this is another image from the book. This is a die cut that I used from a die in my Big Shot. Loving it. On just a white tag. This is decoupage napkin on sheet music, and each book will have a flip pad of scrap paper that has a illustration as the cover of the pad. This is from a I want to say 1940s era book about Europe, and this is Switzerland. Now, the way the book is laid out, it does mean that one side of it is upside down. It's like that on every page. I don't know why. I think the book was oriented differently than most books. This is just a little printable of some flowers. I think it's a seed packet. And here is Heidi and the grandfather in the village. And I stamped a little bird here with some brown ink on this craft paper. Oops. Here's some more of that jacquard trim. Here's a Grosgain ruffle. This is another page from the story, one of the storybooks. This was some scrapbooking paper that I thrifted, but it has images of little girls getting ready to go to bed, and I thought it was perfect for this book. This was just some lined paper that I stitched around and added this and glued down for some writing space. Some sheet music from a children's piano book. This is some, it's a reproduction of vintage wallpaper. Some stationery. A German stamp. A paper clip with a jacquard ribbon and then a little rose advertisement. This is a printable. This is some feed sack repro that I got recently, and I put it on a tea-dyed index card, and this is a flip tag for journaling inside. And the center has a book quote down here at the bottom, layered on some fabric, and here is the part of the book that the quote comes from. She's talking to the grandmother. And then here are some beautiful beads in the center. This is the book cover from the book and record, and I just turned it into a shaped journaling card. Here's a fabric tag with a flower and 2 more journaling cards. Beautiful illustrations. Lots of different Heidi representations in these journals. Each journal will come with a handkerchief, and I chose this beautiful H handkerchief that I received from Claire to go in this one because the recipient of this journal, her name also starts with an H, so I knew this one had to be hers. And this is a fabric tag made with some, I found this in the scrap bin at the craft reuse store, and then this beautiful image, and I just sewed some triangles on the top. I'm looking on the back of the cards because on some of the journaling cards I put quotes from that part of the story. Not all of them, but I tried to when I could. Here's a fabric flip with more of that feed sack repro. This is a die cut. I don't remember who sent this to me in Happy Mail, but they're supposed to be little Pyrex dishes. They have lids. But I layered them and used these bright colors and left the lid off, and I thought it looked like a little bowl that Heidi might have drank her milk out of. So I tried to put one in all of the journals. I don't think I put one in every journal. I tried to, but it was a last minute addition. So here's a paper cluster. Here's Peter and Heidi having a picnic. A stamp of a tree. This is one of the vintage handkerchiefs that Claire sent me, and I made journaling cards out of them. Here's one of the cover pages from one of the books. And my daughter is so sweet. She drew me a couple of goats for this journal, and I made digital copies. I have a mama and a baby, and here's one of the babies. And this flips up. Here's another paper with a silk leaf, paper flower with a silk leaf. This is actually from a paper doll kit, but it, you know, the story talks about dolls, so I added that. The image of Clara with the kittens. Here's some eyelet, grandfather, and then the quote from Heidi. Handwriting paper, crocheted lace. Just a little cluster here with the flower. I did make these. This is a new kind of pocket for me. You use a book image and you layer it on plain paper and then rip the top and sew around and then add some decor. So I did this with this adorable image of this little girl cutting bread. And tucked in here we have a picture of the mountain, or what I will call the mountain. This actually, I have a book that I used that was from Austria, so some of these images might be Austria or Germany. But I tried to only choose images that were images of the Alps. So, and then I just took this from one of the storybooks. And here's another image. This is an actual photograph. this is, so the background had plates, and I cut one of the plates out and made it into a tuck spot. And then this is a very old recipe card. And another quote from the book. Isn't this such a beautiful, vivid illustration? And then I have this little heart trim on this up-tuck pocket. Here is a embossed paper with butterflies. Here's an image of Peter and Heidi sledding, and the little hut. This is one of the flyleaf pages from one of the stories. This whole image comes out. I wanted to preserve this whole image. It's from one of the storybooks. I didn't want to cut any of the flowers off, so it just fits back in with photo corners. I like being able to do this photo corner technique, but it really only works best in wide journals, so I don't do it super often. This is a German folk song. Here's another one of my daughter's illustrations. This is a fussy cut from a book. This is just an image of the Alps, but I got a quote from the book and put it on here. Here is a image of them teaching Claire to walk, some trim, a dictionary page, a digital of some wallpaper, a fabric cluster. Isn't this so pretty? I love this paper. And then we have a double pocket here with a playing card. This is a stamp. I did this on all the journals. This is actually my first time using a layered acrylic stamp. And I think I'm in love. I have so much fun with this. They just pop off the page when you do this. So I'll be doing that more. And this is an actual photograph from my stash that had the Swiss flag. I'm not really sure what this is a picture of, but I had to include it because of the flag. A double flower here. Heidi and her grandfather fluffing the hay, and here's Peter and his goat. This is from, I believe, a Golden Encyclopedia about Switzerland. A blue stamped flower. I have this new set of stamps called watercolor stamps, and I think you're supposed to spray watercolors onto a glass cutting board and then stamp from there, but I think I just sprayed this onto wax paper, so maybe it's not as cool as it's supposed to be, but I still like the effect. Another jacquard, and then grandfather with Heidi, and I put a paper tab with a tiny eyelet and a little glass charm dangle of a tulip. Another little stitched journaling space with a butterfly. Here we have a tag with Heidi in her little window and sledding. I punched the edge of this page. This is a paper doll dress from my childhood collection of paper dolls, which I pull from occasionally. I just put a little quote here about Heidi. The center of this signature is an image from Ideals magazine, and I thought it was so cute. Some floral trim on that page. Double pocket, and here's another piece of my paper doll. This is a little German hat, and then a little tag that I made with the die cuts and some strawberry fabric. I made these little hearts as well and made them look sort of Tyrolean. And then this is a playing card. And this, each journal will get one of these. It's just a little packet with actual, I think the green is actual dried flowers and these are paper flowers. But they remind me of the little blooms that Heidi picked on the side of the mountain. And then some Franken paper. I'm so sorry. Franken paper. And then a vintage postcard. and grandfather watching Heidi sleep. Here is an envelope that has been decoupaged with a napkin. And in here we have a journaling card with Heidi in Frankfurt. And then an adorable little image of her with one of the little goats. Fabric tab. Full image there. Stamped image. Climbing up into her hayloft. Here's a little tuck spot, and this is some stationery that I was sent. I'm pretty sure Cindy sent this to me. It's perfect. This is, I did not dye this paper. This is indigo dyed paper, and it's so wonderful. I love it. Fabric cluster. Some vintage mauve lace, and another bead dangle. This one is a porcelain bead with a little plastic flower. And then this adorable image of Heidi with grandfather. And we have a napkin decoupage tag and a recipe card and some embossed cardstock. And then the last pocket is a snippet of vintage wallpaper, another decoupage tag, and some sheet music with a hanky that has been stitched down on it. Okay, so this was pink and blue Heidi. Let me grab the next one. This one is red and blue Heidi. And this one measures 8 5/8 by 5.5, 1.5 inch spine. Fun fabric on the spine, and then colors to correspond with the cover. It is tied with a white grosgrain with navy blue stitching. Here's the bead dangles. The back is just like the front, which is really cool. Alright, this one, we have a Peter tag, and then we have a vintage postcard. This is actually a shop, like a watch and clock shop in Switzerland. And then here's the 3D element for this one, a little bow on the back of Heidi's dress, and a napkin decoupage tag, and some die cuts, and a recipe card. A side pocket with some trim, a beautiful alpine image, another decoupaged envelope with another image of the goats, and that hawk that keeps bothering them. So this is some embossed stationery. It has bows. Here's one of those layered book pockets with a cluster. This is not Heidi, but she looked just like she could be. She has a kitten, and she's sitting next to the fireplace. And then this is cut out from a napkin, I believe, beautifully embroidered flower that I just put onto cardstock and appliqued around. This is some gift wrap that I thought went very well with the Heidi theme. fussy cut of a bird. Here's some red fringe on some tea-dyed paper. This is from my paper doll collection. It was just a doll cut out. Steno paper and a little flower with a brad. Some GIMP trim, some punch paper. Here's another one of those doubly layered stamps, and playing card and little calling card. Rectangle doily. This is, I think, from National Geographic. Another one of those watercolor stamps. An image from the book with the corresponding quote. This is a German songbook page. Writing space stitched around in a fabric cluster up top. Fussy cut of a flower. This is from a German cookbook. Some of that repro feed sack on an index card, and then one of the fly leaf pages from the book. One of the books. In the center, we have a quote from the book with some word, or picture from the book with the quote. And then this journal has this beautiful red hanky and this cute tag, some stationery, and another illustration. And then on this side we have a fabric tag, another quote tag, and a book image. It's like a woodblock print. We have a little circle journaling card and the hanky on the sheet music. Fabric tab, wallpaper made into a ruffle, a stamp. This belly band has a crocheted pansy in the center. Here's the handkerchief made into a card, and this is from National Geographic. This is, I believe, from the late 1930s, so these images have been colorized, but they are so pretty. This is, I don't know where I got this. I think I got it in an ephemera pack, just a random ephemera pack from Etsy a long time ago, but it looked very Swiss, so I just made it into a little pocket. We have a decoupage tag and a little tiny music card. Fussy cut, I think this is from Ideals. Some jacquard trim. Here's grandmother reading to Heidi. There's two grandmothers in the book now that I think about it. The blue trim here, I got that in an estate sale. A playing card and another image from the book with a little cluster. A German stamp. I did not have any Swiss stamps. It was very weird. I have a lot of stamps in my stash, but none of them are from Switzerland. This flips out. Fabric cluster. A fabric pocket with an illustration made into a tag. And this is flannel material from Lanz, which I think it's pronounced Lanz. It's an Austrian clothing company / fabric company, and they make fabric flannel gowns. I mean, you can still buy them now. But I found a scrap of this at the reused store, so I had just enough to make a couple of tags. I think I had a Lanz gown when I was little. I want to say there was an outlet in Greensboro when I lived there. This is just a little paper trim that I glued down, and then some embossed stationery and some wallpaper. Here is a tuck spot with a quote from the book. I put Sunday bells here and did a little cluster. And then this is a very old recipe for Grandma's pumpernickel bread. And it's evidently good. And the little cuckoo clock looked very Bavarian too. A belly band with some ribbon sewn down. And here's another illustration that's been embellished and some embossed cardstock. Oops. You gotta watch those embellishments, putting them back in. This is a German song and then a tab with a little tulip. This is actual vintage wallpaper that I made into a page. And we have a pocket on the back with Heidi and another image of her in the mountains. This is from a book of woodcut patterns that I got from Tammy. Thank you, Tammy, for this book. And then some country blue lace. Fabric tag and one of those little packets of dried and faux flowers. Heidi running. I don't remember. I think she was racing Peter. Another book page. A fabric flip with a doily piece. This is from a book about shaker furniture, but it looked like something the grandfather would have made. A little stamped shoe. A belly band with some jacquard trim. A tag that I got in Happy Mail. And this is a piece of ephemera that I got at an estate sale. I went to an estate sale. You may have been watching if you've been here a while, but it was a shoebox full of small notebooks that a couple over the span of probably 20 years traveled through most of the world. And she took detailed notes, even to what she wore, what she bought, what they ate, everything. I don't know how a family couldn't want those things, but I rescued them from the pile that was going to the trash, and I've been using them in themed journals, and this is from their trip to Switzerland. So very fun stuff on here to read through. Butterfly stapled there. This is from Ideals, and I made it the center. Tuck spot with a little goat. Here's one of those little scrap pads. Look at this adorable image, y'all. And a book plate. I put this here because Heidi said that she felt like she was a bird in a cage when she was in Frankfurt. Stamped bird. These are hand tatted flowers that I received in Happy Mail a long time ago. A paper cluster. A piece of the paper dolls from my stash. This is a handkerchief that I sewed onto sheet music and made a pocket. We have a fabric tag and a die cut tag. Eyelet and a very heavy but gorgeous dangle. This is one of the beads that Claire sent me. And then some more of those Tyrolean hearts that I made, and then a flip tag and an image of a snowy mountain. And then another little tag and a playing card. Oh. Well, that's fun. I didn't know it didn't have anything on the back other than numbers. Alright, so this is red and blue Heidi. I'm going to do one more and then pause it and do the others on a separate video. This is, I'm going to call this one Little Golden Heidi, because this one, as you can see, is made from a little golden book. And it is, I covered up the UPC code with this little die cut of some Swedish looking flower design. It is tied with some red sari silk. A beautiful, really fun colored striped spine, 2 signatures. The tassel is just like the others with a variety of different ribbons and lace. And it measures what all little Goldens do, 7 7/8 by 6 1/4. And it's 1.5 inch spine. And like I said, each of these 2 signatures have 16 pages folded in each of 2 signatures. This one has a silk flower layered on top of a little doily and a brad. And this is crocheted edging here. This is a piece of scrap that I found at the craft reuse store in the giant scrap bin that I guess someone was practicing with their embroidery machine and had embroidered a bunch of these beautiful flowers onto brown fabric. And so I cut them apart in manageable sections and appliqued them on some cards. And a map of Switzerland with Heidi on that one. A 3D Heidi with a little bow in the back for the 3D element. The little dried flower packet. Playing card. Book plate. An image from the book with some sari silk. And then a recipe card. This one has an uptuck of her climbing into her little loft. Another applique card, and this is when she brings grandfather to church. This is a piano page. I think, yeah, it needed some bolstering, so I put some aged tape here on the edging. A German stamp. An illustration turned into a tag, and some embossed stationery. Belly band with some lace, or not lace, but punched lace. A vintage postcard. I think this is a hotel. Yes, in Bern, Switzerland. Looks like the 1950s, if I had to guess. Maybe a little earlier. And then an image of the little mountain and the hut. This is another one of the colorized 1930s book pages. Some gingham lace that I sewed into a ruffle. Decoupage napkin and grandfather, and then the woodcut pattern page. Watercolor flower, fabric cluster, doily. Isn't this fun? This is a printable that I found. My daughter's goat illustration, German music page, wallpaper. This is from a German cookbook. Made it into a tuck spot. And then this is when Peter gets jealous and pushes the wheelchair down the mountain. And here is a vintage recipe for Swiss cheese fondue, which I wish I had some right now. This is from Ideals. It is A Mountain Smiled at Me. Really cool poem. Some cute jacquard with little ducks on it. This is a children's piano book page, and it already had the little seals on it. And the teacher's writing. I love that. Punched cardstock. The center. Oh, I didn't show the beads on this one. And then this one has the little napkin that I cut apart and decoupage. This is just a little chipboard H. And then here is a shaped journaling card. Decoupage napkin tag and embossed cardstock. One of my paper doll dresses. This is an envelope, just like the others. And in here we have an image of Heidi, in her little loft. This was some blue. I love this cerulean blue. It's so rich. And I didn't really like the way my stitching looked, so I decided to decorate the center with some jacquard. And then a flip out page. A little paper tab with a little dangle. Heidi teaching Peter how to read. A very reluctant Peter, as you can see. A stamp. Playing card. And a little digital. Paper ruffle. This is a fussy cut from a Victorian decoupage book. Fabric pocket with a flip tag and an image from one of the books. I just love this heart trim. It's my favorite. A fabric flip with some doily and some vintage calico. A Rita flip. No, that's not right. Is that what this is called? The corner? And then I put a quote there. This is, someone sent me a book page from a book called Dolls of the World, and this was Switzerland. So I turned her into a journaling card and a fabric tag. A little envelope here with an image of Peter and the goats. Another one of those pages from the couple who traveled. And then hanky on sheet music. A hanky made into a pocket. Here's one of the flip pads and a fabric tag. This is one of the illustrations from this little golden book. Fussy cut flower. There's the alpine horns. Beautiful jacquard tab there. Another flower. Here we have a glass bead dangle. Clipped here we have the index card and the layered stamp ticket. Paper cluster. A book quote with a little flower. This is from a book on how to do toll painting, and I thought it was perfect for this. Stamp of a fir tree. A goat. The center has a handkerchief, a journaling card, a stationery, and then a die cut tag, the hanky tag card, some flannel goat fabric made into a tag. That was some fun Happy Mail too, and then a little cluster of a book illustration. A playing card and an image from a book. Paper flower, another book quote, watercolor stamp, red fringe. This is some fabric ribbon that I ruffled. Butterfly. That folds out, but it's clipped right now. And then here is one of those little bowls. Sometimes these paper clips are really tight and I have to bend them a little bit so they won't tear the ephemera. Another one of those layered bowls and a little piece of gift wrap. Franken paper pocket, and then a die cut tag, decoupage tag, and some wallpaper. Alright, So this was Little Golden Heidi. I'm going to pause here and I will come back and do the flip through of the last 3.